Ah, bollocks.
Okay guys, welcome to the Friday Waffle, coming to you on a Friday. Now hopefully I've actually recorded this a wee bit earlier than I normally do, so hopefully I'll actually get this today rather than Saturday. I know what happened? I did do my Friday Waffle last week, but by the time it finished rendering it took absolutely forever to do it. It was Saturday. So I hope you've all had a decent week. It's been alright up here. Weather-wise, it's been really good. We've had probably 2 weeks of just absolutely stonkingly hot weather. Really good. Saying that, I don't know whether I've got hay fever or something, but I was struggling big time. I went out for a 3 mile run, which is, you know, to me is nothing usually, and I was really struggling big time, so that's the only downside to decent weather. But today it's kind of been overcast all day. It's dry, so you know what can you expect? So what have I been doing this week apart from working and much beardy growing escapades? It's kind of coming on a wee bit. Bloody itchy though. I don't know if any of you guys have got beards, but I find it really tickly. It just I constantly want to kind of go like that and smooth it down because it's just tickly all the time. But I quite like it actually. It does make me look a hell of a lot older than I've already looked, which might not be a good thing, but we shall see how it goes. But what have I been doing this week? Last night I was playing Atari 800, playing Bruce Lee. Bruce Lee is one of my favourite games. Loved it in the C64. Got to say though that Atari one is better. It's just it's smoother. Is that the right word to use? Like for example, in the C64 one, when you sort of run along, when you sort of run, it kind of judders a wee bit, but it's a lot better on the Atari. Even the use of colour is much better. So I was playing that. What else was I playing? I think that was it. Yeah, that was what I was playing last night on the Atari 800. Not Atari 800, Atari 130XE I think it is, which has got the extra memory. So yeah, I've also been playing my mate Neil, who you probably saw on me and my son Chum's Talk Pish. He was obviously up here on, oh what day was it? I can't remember, Tuesday was it I think it was. And we were up here, we were playing the Mame Cab. Neil was playing, what was the name of that game? It's, you control this little kind of cutesy kind of helicopter and you fly up, down, left and right, and you've got to kind of like mine jewels or something. I can't remember what it was called, but the name of it wasn't the name I remember it to be. I'm sure it's something like, no Tiger Heli, Mr. Heli, that's it, Mr. Heli. I'm sure that's the same game. What I'll need to do is actually check it out and see if that's the same game as the one that Neil was playing. But I'll tell you one thing that I love, I think is brilliant and I really miss, is what were we playing? We're playing a 2-player game at that, but we're playing some 2-player R-Type Leo plus a few other games, and you know what, you just can't beat the sort of co-op playing a video game with a mate, you know, standing shoulder to shoulder, joystick in hand, our misses, you know, that's, you just can't beat that. I know you can play 2-player games online on Xbox Live and that kind of stuff, but I just don't think you can't beat the actual being in the same room as somebody playing a video game. Even after I died when we were playing that helicopter game, I died and you know I was just watching Neil playing, and it's yeah, I miss that kind of, that real life sort of banter that you get, which just can't be replicated when you're playing against somebody online. But yeah, that was good. So Neil was up here on Tuesday, we're playing a bit of MAME. Excuse me, I was showing him the Gear VR or Samsung Gear VR thing. Got to say guys, I'm a huge fan of VR, and you probably saw me go over the top with my enthusiasm for virtual reality. I've got to say I haven't touched that in probably 2 months. Is there a reason? I don't know. I think it's like it's like any of these sort of, I'm not going to say gimmick, but any of these new things that you get, you tend to, when you first get it, you know, you go, you're mega enthusiastic and you want to use it all the time, and then after a wee bit you sort of, you don't use it for a couple of days, and before you know 2-3 weeks have gone past and you've not used it. And it's a bit like that with this Samsung VR thing. You know, I'm saying I haven't used it in 3 weeks. I actually put it on a couple of days ago just to see what was out there. And you know, the experience itself is still phenomenal, but I don't think it'll ever become something that's that will replace sitting in a seat with a gamepad in your hand or whatever. You know, I don't think it'll ever replace that, because you've got to physically put something in your head, and you know, you need to set it up. I think because we've become quite a lazy society. You know, we don't want to have to take a game out of a box and put it in. We want it just to be there. And it's the same with something like that. You know, you can't be arsed taking the thing out and putting it on your head. But that's just the way we've become in society. We want everything just to be there for us with minimum fuss. But I'm still getting the, what do you call it, the PlayStation 4 thing, VR, whatever it's called. Neptune? No, it's not Neptune. I don't know where that came from. Whatever it's called. I'm still going to be getting that. So we'll see where we go with that. But anything else? Can't think of anything else. Been playing a bit of the Mame Cab. I was playing some of that last night as well. Again, I'm talking about not using the Samsung VR. That Mame Cab is fantastic. I mean, it was my mate Dave that made it for me. Absolutely amazing thing. Because I've been using my little Piecade thing, I've not been really using the Mame Cab, but I then decided to have a shot at the Mame Cab. In fact, it was after Neil was up on Tuesday, and it's mental. But going from, you know, I don't know what size it is, a 9-inch screen about yon size, onto one of these things, a 20-inch monitor, it just seems massive. Really good, you know, but love the Mame Cab to bits, and I really need to make a point of using it more, because you know, it's definitely the best way to experience arcade games without a shadow of doubt. The Retro Pi thing, still loving it. I'm actually waiting on artwork. I did order it a few weeks ago and I was hoping it might be here today. It's going to be side art, obviously, to go on both sides, plus I've got a wee, I can never remember, is it Marquee? I think Marquee, yeah, Marquee is the wee bit at the top. No, wait a minute, is it? Is that Marquee or Bezel? Yeah, Marquee is the wee bit at the top, and the Bezel, yeah, the Bezel is the bit that goes around the screen. Yeah, I think I've got that right. So it's a Marquee. I've ordered a wee Marquee for the little Retro Pi thing, and also I'm going to replace the Robotron Marquee on that thing, which is currently, it's just printed on paper, and I'm getting a proper one for that as well, so that should hopefully finish off the Mame Cab rather nicely. Before I forget, I don't watch a large number of videos, but there's a few people I do watch, and it's been quite, the lack of videos is noticeable. Mr. Swifto, where are you, sir? You've not made any videos for over a month. Hope everyone's alright. And Mr. Monkey Spaz, I notice you've not been putting out many videos at all, James. I think the last one you done was a couple of weeks ago. You were playing a Spectrum game, I think it was. So yeah, I don't know, I guess the better weather, people have got better things to do than sit and record videos. So yeah, it's possibly that. One thing that I've been the videos that I do watch, Dave Lawnboy's posts, I must admit, I've started watching a lot more of Dave's videos, and it got me realising what makes me enjoy a YouTube channel. I think it's the person. You've got to be likeable to begin with, and I notice the people that I do watch the most videos of, I'm going to tell you right now, it's Dave Lawnboy's post, Ashens, dare I say, Steve Benway, Mark Lactobacillus Prime. you know, all these guys, they've all got a really, they're likeable people, and they've all got a really chilled out, relaxing manner. Although Mr. Benway has been known to use a few rather risk words at times when he gets when he has something to say, but in the main, these guys, they've got a very relaxed tone, and that is a sort of a, you know, that's a style that I really enjoy watching. I think it's you know, don't get me wrong, there's plenty of other fantastic YouTubers out there. Right, before I forget, I am going to, what's it called again, play Glasgow tomorrow. It's the big gaming event thing. I mean, I was at the one in Blackpool, it was only about a month ago, something like that, a couple of months ago, whatever. But it's now on in Glasgow. It starts tomorrow and it runs through till Sunday. You know, it's 40 minutes by car for me rather than 6 hours in the car, so it would be silly to not go to it. I don't know if any of you guys are planning to make the journey. I know Mark Lactobacillus Prime, who he does go to a lot of these things. Sadly, he can't make Glasgow, but if anybody is going, I'm going to be there tomorrow, can't make Sunday. If anyone's going along tomorrow and you happen to see me, please come up and say hello. Quite looking forward to it. As I don't have the massive journey to get there and back, which is quite good. But I've not got any. I'm not going to buy anything at all. I'm just going to go along. I mean, I'm actually going myself. My mate, he doesn't want to go, so that's fine. It just means I'll probably get a lot more video games played as well. But yeah, it should be good. It's in a Braehead Arena, which is quite a large kind of conference type centre, so we'll see how it goes. So yeah, like I said, if you're going along guys and you happen to see me, please do come and say hello to me. That would be rather spiffing. So right, anyway, that's enough of my prattling. I don't have anything else really off my own back to talk about now. I did make an extra special mention to ask for questions or topics to talk about last week, and I'm delighted to say I've got a really nice healthy response, so thank you very much to everybody, really much appreciated. So I'm just going to kick things right off with Mr. Regular subscriber Brian C. Okay, quick question for you, Al. Am I the only right-handed person who held a joystick in his right hand? If I had a MAME cab, I would find it awkward to hold a stick with my left hand. Well, I'm right-handed, and if I'm using a joystick, I can't even ask anyone, if I'm using a joystick on a computer, I would hold it in my left hand and I would actually activate it in my right hand. But arcade games, oddly, they've always been designed, I mean, right-hand people are obviously far more common than left-hand people. I don't mean they're more common, I mean they're more prolific, more bountiful. You know what I'm trying to say. There's more people who are right-handed, than left-handed. Yeah, arcade games, they're always designed with the arcade stick in the left hand and then the buttons on the right. So if you're controlling a game, you've got your left hand there and you've got your buttons. Now that feels to me, being a right-handed person, that feels to me completely normal. I have on occasions tried to control a game using the right hand, and it's bizarre, it just doesn't feel right. So it kind of contradicts itself. Even though I'm right-handed, if I'm playing an arcade game, then obviously you've got to use the controls which are there for you, and it means that you're using the joystick in your left hand. So that kind of goes against what you'd expect, but no, I find it absolutely fine. Like I said, if I'm playing a computer game, console, whatever, I'll always hold the joystick in my left hand and use it in my right hand, but I don't find any issues at all, Brian. It must just be you, obviously. Right, okay, Lactobacillus Prime, he has got a large question here. What do you think about HTC, Oculus, Microsoft, Sony all doing their own VR thing? Wouldn't it be better if they all came up with some sort of DirectX widely supported universal VR API instead of all doing their own thing, with users having to invest quite a huge sum of money not knowing whether they have just invested in the VHS or the Betamax or Video 2000 of VR technology? Is it a good thing that drives innovation, or will it just make the whole VR thing a confusing mess for people and shying them away from jumping on board? You're absolutely spot on, Mark. I mean, my mate Ian Bangkokian, he is a huge fan of VR. I think since I introduced him to Samsung, he has leapt in with both feet into the VR pool. He's got the Samsung VR thing. He's also got the Oculus Rift, is it V1 or something they call it, the consumer version. And he's just recently gone and bought the HTC Hive. Now, these things aren't cheap, not at all. I mean, to get obviously, if you've got, you need to get a PC which is more than capable of running the software. I guess, once you've got one PC, then you only have to buy the sort of VR stuff. So Ian's got, he's got the Oculus Rift and he's also got the HTC. But you're absolutely right, Mark. I mean, it's a shitload of money to have to invest in, and I certainly wouldn't. I mean, I've not got any aspirations to buy a PC Oculus Rift. I do understand it's probably the best. It's probably got the most capability if you've got the right computer. But as I've kind of demonstrated, I mean, one thing about getting the Samsung, which I'm glad about, was I wasn't investing a lot of money in it. So that if I found that it didn't work for me, I wasn't enjoying it, or maybe in the case, which is what's happened to me, I'm not using it that much, I don't feel like I've wasted a great deal of money. I mean, it's 90 quid, I've probably had my £90 worth of fun out of it. If I had invested maybe £300, £400, £500 on something, I would be feeling a wee bit guilty, I think. And so for that in mind, I don't see myself ever anytime soon getting a PC Oculus Rift thing, and I certainly wouldn't go and lash out money to get a second one. I mean, I completely understand where Ian's coming from. He's a massive fan of it, and obviously to get access to the all the different games. I mean, I don't know too much about the Hive or the Oculus Rift. Am I right in thinking that each of these systems has its own software? I actually thought that you could just use any headset, any one of these two headsets, to play the same games, but that doesn't appear to be the case. So if you want to get all the access to all the different systems, then obviously you're going to have to spend money and buy them. But unless you're seriously rich or whatever, or a huge fan of it, I don't think many people are going to go and buy more than one system. I think the PlayStation VR will probably be quite popular because obviously not most people, but the people that buy it will already have a PlayStation 4. But I mean, what you're saying there, Mark, about the VHS Betamax, it's something that's happened quite a lot over the years. Different companies bring out different systems, and you don't know what one to go for. So you make a judgment and you go for one, and it might turn out that what you've just bought becomes a dodo, dead in the water. You can't get anything for it. I mean, it's not just been like VHS or video recorders. I mean, even to a certain extent, computers. I mean, when Neil and I were looking at the various computers last week, back in 1983 there was about 16 or more different systems you could buy, and it's like, what one do we go for? Do I go for the Lynx? Do I go for the Commodore 64? Do I go for a Dragon? Do I go for an Auric? Whatever. You pays your money, you take your choice, and it might end up biting you in the arse. You might end up with a system that's completely defunct with no software available for it. I mean, another system which I did actually buy after it became null and void was, now who was it? Was it Toshiba brought out the HD DVD? Then shortly after, Blu-ray came along, and I don't know what the reason was. But very quickly Toshiba decided to they announced that they were going to pull out the HD DVD market. I mean, I've still got it up there. It's the HD DVD player for the Xbox 360. The good thing about it is you get films ridiculously cheap. I mean, you can, I don't know what they're like now price wise, but I bought a shitload of films for like £2-3 each, even brand new films, because basically you're buying films for a system which is no longer getting supported. But I mean, I got about maybe 20 odd films for, you know, not a lot of money. You know, HD DVD is fantastic. There's really no difference quality wise that I can see from Blu-ray, but ultimately Blu-ray won the battle, or won the war I should say, and HD DVD was eventually just fell by the wayside. So it's something that you're always going to get that. I mean, back in the 8-bit days, the various Japanese companies, I think was it like Toshiba, what were they called, Panasonic, I don't know, Sharp possibly, don't know, they all decided to try and come up with a universal format of computers, you know, and the MSX was born. It was basically a format that companies could all make their own versions of this computer, but you could buy it with the confidence that the software would run in it, which is a really, really good thing when you think about it. I mean, it would have been interesting to see where things would have led had the MSX format become the popular version. You know, you wouldn't have had your Commodore 64 and Spectrum battles, or the Amstrad and the BBC or Atari. You would have had a single format. But then some people don't like that. You know, some people like to have choice. I mean, can you imagine if it was like cars, you could only buy a car? You know, that would be boring. But I think the difference with a car is every car is different, whereas a computer system, it's all about running a game, you know, so it doesn't make much difference if it looks different or whatever. But it's something that you'll always have, and it's one of these annoying things, you know. You have to kind of, before you jump in and buy anything, you've really got to do your homework. You need to watch YouTube videos, you know, Google it, see what one is going to fit, be the one for you, you know, because when you're lashing out £600-700, whatever it's going to cost, then you really need to make sure you're buying the right one. But yeah, I certainly wouldn't go invest in any money at the moment in VR. That's just my personal opinion, because right now I don't think anybody knows what system is going to win. You know, it could well be that the HTC Vive continues to flourish, as does Oculus Rift. I mean, I think Mark was mentioning Microsoft. I wasn't really aware that Microsoft had something, but it's only a matter of time before they're going to jump in. Same with Apple, they're bound to get involved with something, because I wouldn't say VR is the future, but it's an avenue of video gaming and multimedia that people are now starting to take notice of. So yeah. So anyway, listen Mark, thanks for the question, buddy. That's very, very good of you. Yeah, I mean, you're talking about is the whole, will it make the whole VR thing a confusing mess for people? I think you're absolutely right. I mean, I'm fairly technical. I know I've got my finger on the pulse when it comes to video games and that kind of stuff, but if I was to get an Oculus Rift or a Vive, I really wouldn't have any idea what's required. I'm guessing you need a powerful PC, but to somebody who's maybe not as interested in this hobby, then it's a minefield, and I think it could well stop people actually getting on board. I think you might find that the Sony PlayStation 4 VR thing will be the first VR thing for a lot of people. I'm guessing if people think that's good, they enjoy it, then they may well want to take the next step and get themselves a decent PC, but only time will tell. So anyway, thank you. Right, next question. Country Roadist. What is your opinion on swearing in video games? You can answer that in your next waffle maybe. I remember back in the day you wouldn't even get words like hell, bitch, but now games have the F word and the C word, whatever. Now, when I first read that question, I thought you were, I read that as being swearing and making videos. Now, I've got to say, my mum and dad brought me up to not swear. My mum always said to me, you know, if you swear when you're on your own or whatever, that's fine, but never ever let me hear you swear in front of me. And I must admit, my mum and dad, my dad nah, you know what, even my dad, my mum and dad never swore. They just didn't. They were from a different generation. They just never ever swore at all. So I was always very careful. And I've got to say, I mean, I don't swear. I don't swear like some people swear. I mean, if I stub my toe or I'm really angry about something, then I'll maybe use the F word. And I've always tried to not swear when I'm making videos, because I'm conscious that at the end of the day anybody could be watching this. Kids could be watching it. God knows why they don't want to watch an old wrinkly Scottish bloke talking nonsense. But you know, I know I do swear from time to time, but I've watched a few channels where swearing seems to be a very, very common part of it. And don't get me wrong, there are times where a swear word is about the only appropriate thing you can say. You know, to say anything else just wouldn't really hit the mark. But sometimes I think when people swear for swearing effect, it just becomes a bit monotonous and boring. And I say I've watched a few channels where it's just constant swearing, and I find that quite boring actually, and I tend to switch off. So I do try. I know I don't always manage it, but I do try where possible to not swear, because at the end of the day, I would hate for somebody who maybe watches my channel, who doesn't like swearing, to start hearing me swear a lot and then decide to unsubscribe. That would seriously make me sad. Not because I've lost a subscriber, but it would make me sad that I have chosen, or somebody has chosen to not watch what I do just because my swearing. And so I do try where possible to keep my swearing to a minimum. I know I do use the swear from time to time in some videos and whatnot, but I do try and keep it out. But anyway, you're not talking about you're talking about video games. I was going way off on a tangent there. What do I think about swearing in video games? I think as video games have evolved, I mean, you know, they're no longer, although some narrow-minded people seem to think that's the case, video games are no longer the hobby of kids. Yeah, there's plenty of kids that play them, but you know, the games now, I mean, they have bigger production values than a lot of Hollywood films. I mean, you just have to complete any modern game. I mean, what did I complete recently? The Last of Us. And the credits just roll and roll and roll and roll. I mean, you must be talking hundreds and hundreds of people. So games are becoming far bigger. They're huge, big productions, you know, rivaling films with the acting. Some of the voice character actors I've got now is fantastic. And so obviously, people of an older age are watching them. And let's be honest, you know, swearing is part of life. I mean, when I'm at work, you hear people swearing all the time. It is part of life. You know, I think there's a time and place to swear, but to try and deny that swearing doesn't exist would be rather foolish, because it does. And you know, so as games strive to kind of become more realistic, then they've obviously there is swearing. I mean, what's the game? Well, The Last of Us, there's a lot of swearing in it. I'm guessing stuff like Call of Duty and all that kind of stuff has got a lot of swearing in it. I mean, who was that? In fact, I'll tell you what it was. It was Lactobacillus Prime. He was interviewing Andrew Hewson, who created Hewson Consultants, and Andrew made a comment that he doesn't like video games where it involves killing people. And what he said was, you know, there's no need for it. Video games are fun, so you don't have to kill somebody. I mean, I'm sort of in the middle with an argument like that. I'm not a fan of Call of Duty or Black Ops, any of these. I've tried to play them, and I don't know, I just find them a bit dull. But I always remember there's a famous level in one of the Call of Duties, I don't know what one it was, where you're undercover and you're with terrorists undercover, and you've got to go into an airport, and you've basically got to shoot people, innocent people, you know, women, children, I think as well. Not that it makes it right shooting men, you know, not at all, but you've basically got to run through this airport gunning down people. Now the company obviously realised at the time that that was going to be quite controversial and possibly upsetting to some people, so they actually gave you an option to skip the level. Now I've never actually played, I've got the game, so I don't know what one it is, but I do have the game in the 360, and I remember getting to that level and just skipping by it, you know, I just wanted to skip by it. But yeah, I'm not going to say I poo-poo shooting things. I mean, at the end of the day, I'm adult enough, I'm clever enough to realise that just because I shoot something in a video game doesn't mean it's right to do it in real life. I mean, I'm a pacifist like most people, you know, you would never ever harm anybody. I mean, blimey, if I get a fly or a spider in the house, I've got to rescue it. I will not crush or kill anything like that at all. The only thing I might kill is a wasp if it was actually attacking me, but even wasps, I'd rather get them in a jar and put them out. So I really don't like violence of any kind. I don't like seeing things suffer. But a video game, like I said, I'm intelligent enough to realise that a video game is just that, it is a game. There was nobody harmed in it, it's not even real people, it's just graphics. I mean, you know, if you don't want to play a video game where you're killing somebody, then does that mean you wouldn't want to watch a film where somebody gets shot? You know, possibly some people would apply that logic to films. They don't want to watch a film if somebody's being killed, but I know the difference between fact and fiction. I know that a video game is fantasy, I know that it's not real, so I don't have an issue as such with killing people in it. But saying that, the games that I do play with that, you know, stuff like Call of Duty, I just find quite dull to play, and I tend to sort of move on. I prefer my video games to be more kind of sciencey fiction, you know, fictional where you can fly and whatever, transport yourself, stuff like that. So yeah. Okay, anyway, thanks for your question, Country Roadist. I do appreciate it, and please pop another question up for next week. Right, second for last, Dead Thumb Gamer. Now before I forget, I did extend an invitation to Mr. DTG himself, asking if he fancies a collaboration, because what I thought was quite funny was anybody that's not aware of him, he comes from the States. I'm not quite sure where you actually live about, but you come from the States, super cool guy. I mean, you're the only guy that can rap, and you've got amazing sort of like music accompaniment to your videos, really, really entertaining. But he's also a massive shmup fan, and he was commenting on me and my son Chum's Talk Pish that I made last Tuesday, and he was mentioning that he was able to sit all the way through it, and it kind of got me thinking. I mean, obviously I'm Scottish, you know, the Scottish accent is quite a rough accent, and I find it quite fascinating that my American friends are able to understand the voice and the accents. So anyway, I've offered Mr. Dead Thumb Gamer an invitation to do a collaboration on Shoot 'em Up, so he's kindly agreed to do that. So it's just a question, I'm going to get in touch with him, tie up a suitable time, and we're going to do a Skype call or a Skype interview call thing, so that should be good fun. But anyway, he is asking, Mainmeister, manga and shmups, why do you gripe about it? Gripe about it? I'm not aware of griping about manga. No, I don't, you know what, I don't have a problem with manga at all. If I do gripe about it, I don't mean to. I mean, manga, if you're a video game fan, you can't but not be aware of manga. You know, video games, I'm going to be controversial here and say video games originate from Hong Kong, or China, or Japan I should say. Manga is a massive part of Japanese culture, and it kind of goes hand in hand with video games. I mean, some of the best video games are manga based. I think what I find a bit odd is some of the shoot 'em ups that you get, the manga just feels like it's been bolted on just for the sake of it. You know, some of them, is it Death Smiles I think it is, you play the part of like a little schoolgirl and you're flying up the screen shooting stuff. You know, it just seems absolutely, it's got no connection to manga or small children or anything. I just don't understand the relevance. But, you know, it's, like I says, video games are a massive part of Japanese culture, as is manga. And so it's inevitable you're going to get a bit of crossover, but sometimes I just think it's a bit odd the way they always want to shoehorn manga. And I mean, I've actually played games in the past where, you know, they're just basically military cell shoot 'em ups. You're controlling a spaceship or a plane or whatever it is, and you've got to sit through a couple of minutes of manga cartoons. You know, don't really understand that, but possibly it might get the manga fans wanting to play video games, so I suppose it's all good. But I mean, my daughter, she's a massive manga fan. She loves drawing and that kind of stuff, so she's right into her manga. But no, I don't have a gripe with manga at all. I just think it's a bit strange. Or not strange, it's slightly odd at times where you'll get manga appearing in something that you think is completely removed from what manga is. But there you go. The second part of the question from Mr. DTG is, where do you get your games list for shmups? Now, I've got a series where I look at shoot 'em ups that begin with different letters. I've been working my way through the alphabet. I've did numbers, I've did A, B, C and D, and obviously I'll be doing E probably next week. What I do is I just open up Mame, and you can see the screenshots, and I just go down the list, and when I see a game that resembles a shoot 'em up, I play it. So it's as simple as that. There have been games in the past which I've missed because I kind of use a new version of Mame, or it's maybe a couple of years old. I use quite a new version of Mame for playing the games, but it doesn't have screenshots, so I use an older version of Mame. So sometimes there'll be games in the new version which don't appear in the old version, so because I don't see the screenshot, I don't actually play it, if that makes any sense. But yeah, I just go down Mame. Just if it looks like a shoot 'em up type game, it goes into the video. So it's as simple as that. And the last part of DTG's questions, and have you ever watched the history of the shooting game? That kind of rings a bell. I'll need to have a look at that. I have seen, is that the one that's purely in Japanese? Because I'm sure there is one, or is it about cave? I can't remember. I think it might have been that one. It certainly rings a bell. I think I might have that, and I probably have watched it. But what I'm going to do after I make this video, I'm going to actually go and check to see if I do have that. If I don't, I'm going to have a look for it, because you tend to find a lot of these things are on YouTube. So anyway, listen, Mr. DTG, thank you very much for your questions. I will be in touch over the weekend, and we'll come up with a suitable date for you and I to talk pish. And lastly, right, I don't know if I'm going to cover all of this because I'm conscious that this video has been dragging on. Mr. Down the Rabbit Hole, Kev. Thanks, Kev, for the Friday Waffle. Hi, Alan. Last week you asked for topics to discuss in the show. The show? Is this a show? The show. Da, 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 da. Yay! I wouldn't say it's a show. That's just me talking nonsense. So instead of a question, I'll suggest 3 topics for you to chat about. Number 1, the positives and negatives of cassette tapes used for gaming. That's fairly quick, but let me take a cassette down. Right, okay, I've just picked first one, Decathlon. This is by Activision. The pluses about cassettes is the nostalgia factor. You've got the wee box, you've got the cover art. You would pick the game up, you'd be standing in the shop, you'd pick the game up, you'd look at the box. The individual athletic disciplines are yours: speed, strength, stamina. You would look at the screenshots on it, and you would decide whether you're going to buy it or not. And just having, I mean, I've actually started collecting some of these games, not to use the actual tape, but just because of the nostalgia factor. They're iconic, they're part of us, you know. If you were there in the early days, that's what you played, it was all in cassette. So yeah, that's a positive. The negative part, in fact the other positive part I'm going to say, is the reliability. I mean, I've not used a tape on the C64 for a few years, but when I was using them, I found that the tapes are still working fine. So considering that some of these games are 30 plus years old, they still seem to be pretty reliable, so that's not bad at all. The downside to them, the downside to these tapes is obviously, well, you've got the unreliability. If the tape recorder doesn't work, you can't load them. You could obviously get, the tape could come out and it could get chewed up. Plus you've got the time factor. I mean, saying that with sort of like turbo loads nowadays, you don't have to wait very long for a game to load. But no, I think the pluses definitely outweigh the minuses. I mean, they were cheap to make. It was basically what drove the computer industry for the first good number of years until cartridges and that came along. So I'll always have a soft spot for tapes. It was it was the first way I got to, well, that's not technically true. I was going to say it's the first way I got to play a game. The first way would have been type in a game. Then the cassettes came along and sort of changed everything. So that's number one. Second part, different versions of MAME, especially the fact that ROMs for old versions don't always work on modern MAMEs. Yeah, that's always been a bone of contention with me and a lot of other people. I could never understand why a ROM would work in one version, then when the new version of MAME came out they would change it and you found that ROM would no longer work. It doesn't make any sense, but to kind of try and understand why that is the case, you've got to be aware of what MAME is. The MAME stands for Multiple Arcade Machine Emulator. It was a project which started 1996, 1997, and it was started by a few people, 2 or 3 guys. I mean, it's grown and grown and grown, and it was their attempt to try and archive all these old classic video games for future generations. Now it wasn't, they didn't, believe it or not, they didn't do this to enable people to play them. They did it because they wanted to emulate the timing of the chips and the various, you know, processors and what have you. And so what you found, maybe one version of MAME, a game would work absolutely fine. Maybe the sound wasn't quite right, whatever. Then the next version, they would bring it out, it would require a different version. And what you'd find is the version, because it was technically emulating the arcade boards more accurately, should I say, sorry, you'd sometimes find that the game wouldn't run as well. So it's quite a common thing with MAME. What I find is if you've got a version of MAME that works well with the games that you want, then I would just stick to it. Because what you find is that subsequent versions of MAME, they tend to require a greater processor, a faster processor. They tend to maybe, they don't run so well. Some of them may not even run at all. So it does sound crazy. You think, well, why would, what some of the MAME authors have come out and said, that MAME was never intended to allow people to play games. It was always just as an archive way. It was a way of archiving digital versions of the games, so that, you know, in years to come, programmers could look to see how games were coded, how they ran, how the sound worked, etc. And what they said was that the ability to play them was not an afterthought. It was a sort of side effect of what they were doing. It just happens that you could play the games. They weren't written to be played, they were written so that, you know, programmers, nerdy guys with white jackets and corduroy trousers could actually look at the code and how it runs and that, which makes, to somebody like myself, a complete newbie when it comes to sort of, you know, programming. That means not a jot to me. All I know is the side effect in MAME, but I like, is the fact that I can play games which I never got to play back in the day. So yeah, this constant evolving ROMs. I mean, back in the early days, I would, when a new version of MAME came out, I would download all the ROMs so that I had I could play them. But then, as the sort of MAME support grew and grew and grew and grew and grew, I mean, it ended up, instead of having 200-300 games it would play, I mean, I don't know what we're up to now. You're probably 6,000-7,000 games, different ROMs and bootlegs and different versions, cocktail versions and 1, 2, 3, 4 player game versions, all these different versions. There's just so many games, and because of that, the actual ROM set, a ROM set being all the ROMs put together, the file size has just become massive now. These games, they're not they're not readily available online. You've got to do a bit of googling, you know, trying to find them isn't always easy. But what started off maybe a couple of gig would get you, you know, a full ROM set for MAME. Now, I mean, there's games that it supports which I don't have any of at all. It uses, there was games like, is it Time Crisis 3, 4, whatever it is, some of these big shoot 'em up games, these light gun games, the actual games themselves ran into gigs. I mean, any game you play in your PlayStation, it's 50 gigs, so some of the games in the arcades were big games. They took up maybe 3, 4, 5 gigs in size, if not more. So MAME now supports these, but the actual file sizes, it means that for one game it might be 5 gig. So I think a full MAME ROM set now is probably over 100 gig, which to 99% of people is just utter nonsense. You know, apart from trying to download it, you know, would you even play all the games? Probably not. So I stopped updating my ROM sets many moons ago. I mean, the set that I was using up till a couple of years ago was version 0.91, I think it was, which is a very old version. It's probably 10 years old, but again, it supported all the games that I ever wanted to play, so I never had any real inclination to sort of want to update the ROM sets. But there is a program, is it CLR Pro I think it's called? It's a wee program where you can take a more modern ROM set and then you run it through this CLR Pro thing using a DAT file, and what it'll do is it'll downgrade it to whatever version. So if say you're running ROMs for version 0.157, you can run it through this Clear Pro I think it's called, and it'll downgrade it to say version 0.136. So there is ways of doing it. I did try to use that software years ago and I ended up erasing my entire ROM set, and I've vouched never ever to touch that again. So what I would say to anybody that's getting into MAME for the first time, get yourself a ROM set that supports the games that you want to play and just leave it. Because if you want to constantly stay up to date with the latest games, it's just it's a minefield and it's a road to heartache, believe you me. You're constantly finding you're having to download ROMs. And I mean, the thing is, I wouldn't say there's been any games in the last 5 years that has been added that I'm going to want to play. All these games, it's all just I don't know, I don't even know what the games are that are added to it now. I don't even know, do they still add games? In fact, do they still even make arcade games? I'm not too sure. But yeah, the constant updating ROMs is a complete pain in the arse. But it's a necessary evil. If you want to stay up to date with the latest ROM set, the latest MAME version, then you've got to constantly change your ROMs. But I would just say, get a version that works for you and just stick to it. Okay, right, thanks for that, Kev. Right, the last part of Kev's questions or topics is fighting games like Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat and why you aren't interested in them. Aye, that's a tough one to answer. Aye, ever since playing Bruce Lee, that was the first video game that I played that, you know, it'll basically let you... Was it Bruce? Yeah, it was Bruce Lee. That was the first one that you're basically fighting somebody, albeit it was very basic. You could punch and kick somebody, but you had to basically kick 9 shades of excrement out of the green sumo and the little ninja. Then a few years later, I discovered Exploding Fist, and I love that game to bits. The being able to beat somebody up, I mean, this kind of goes back to, you know, killing people, but, you know, again, I know it's a video game, so I don't have a problem with it. But I loved Exploding Fist, absolutely. I played that non-stop. Then, yeah, Kung Fu came along, loved that again. I loved the whole fighting different people. You had to you had to try and find out their weak spot and how to get around their weak spot and, you know, kill them, or not kill them, injure them and move on to the next level. So I loved all these games. So saying that, I should absolutely adore Street Fighter 2, Mortal Kombat. But I think the thing for me, and it's probably the same for like driving games as well, I love driving games, but I don't get on with modern driving games, and I think it's because the controls have just become too complicated. I mean, to really be able to play Street Fighter or any beat 'em up, you've got to learn the controls. You've got to learn that this button does punch. You need to learn high punch, low punch, you know, kicks, roundhouse kicks. You need to know special moves. You've got to invest a lot of time to get the most out of it. I mean, anytime I play these games, I just hammer the buttons. You know, it's complete random luck with me. I mean, I've played Street Fighter 2 against my mate Sick Boy, he's just an absolute ninja at every single game. And I'm hammering the buttons, and he knows these games inside out, and he absolutely annihilated me. So you get a good player, and he will just hand you your arse on a plate. I mean, there's a video, a famous video on YouTube, and it was the Japanese. They have annual tournaments, Street Fighter tournaments. I mean, it's massive even now. And there's a Street Fighter 2 tournament. It was Chun-Li versus somebody or another. I can't remember what other character it was. And basically the person that was playing Chun-Li, they were down to one little bit of energy. They were getting absolutely hammered at this game. And then the guy that was playing the other character, I don't know who it was, says Chun-Li only had a tiny wee bit of energy. The person that was controlling the other character launched this absolutely batshit mental attack combo on Chun-Li, and incredibly Chun-Li, the person playing Chun-Li, was absolutely able to individually block every single punch and kick. To like the non-expert like myself, you look at it and you go, oh well, what's that all about? But when you actually see it in slow motion, you realise that this guy who was playing Chun-Li was actively blocking, manually blocking. His reactions were so intense, he was able to block all these moves, and that's why this guy, the guy that was playing Chun-Li, went on to win that particular bout, and the crowd just erupted. They just went mental because of the skill and show here. So what I'm trying to say here is these games, you need to make a point of learning it. You need to learn the controls, you need to know what you're doing, you need to learn special moves, you need to learn how to block. Then you get the satisfaction out of actually winning and beating people. I mean, they say the best way to play these games is to get two people who are both competent at it and just play 1-on-1. That is where you get the most satisfaction. But to answer your question, Kev, why don't I like them? I do like them, and I would love to be able to play them. I really would, but I just don't have the patience or probably the skill to actually do it. I think, as I've mentioned before, when you've got hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of games to play, you don't make the effort to invest in any one particular game, and that's the same with Street Fighter or any of these beat 'em ups. I mean, I do enjoy playing Mortal Kombat, but I'm not addicted to it. I'll play it for so long and kind of give up. But yeah, I think it comes down to the fact that I just don't have the patience or skill to master it. I would love to be able to be good at these games, because I enjoy fighting beat 'em up games. Like I said, I enjoyed Exploding Fist, I enjoyed Tekken. Again, Tekken's another one of these games. Loved playing it, but again, it was purely just mashing the buttons, and basically waiting to see what happens. So that is the reason, Kev. I do enjoy the games, but because I'm crap at them, I tend to kind of avoid them as well, and that's down to lack of skill and lack of patience. So anyway, that's hopefully that's answered your question. So anyway, listen guys, thank you very much for the questions. Really blown away with the number of questions this week. Please do the same for next week. In fact, yeah, I should be able to get a waffle out next Friday. Next Saturday or next weekend, I've actually got the West Highland Way Ultra. Now, I'm not running it. I'm actually supporting a friend, a Chinese friend, you need to take part in the race. You need to have a support team. So myself and two of my mates, we're going to be supporting E is his name. He's running the West Highland Way race, so I'm going to be supporting him. So I'll be away all next weekend. But I'll see if I can get a waffle. I'm actually on holiday next Friday, so I'll see if I can get a waffle done during the day and get it put out before I head off up to Mulgai for the race. So as usual guys, I hope you have a nice weekend. Thank you very much for all the support. Just mind blowing. I mean, I really enjoy the interaction with everybody on the channel. I always appreciate your support. If you're newly subscribed, thank you very much. If you're not subscribed and you want to see more videos by myself, please consider hitting that like and subscribe button, and as usual, thank you very much for watching.